My name is Jim Clifford. I have a company, Northpoint Financial. I actually have an office in Brewer, Maine in the summer, and I'm here in Jupiter at the end of Indiantown in the winter, and I'm kind of back and forth. So obviously tonight we're going to be talking about retirement, income planning, and hopefully you'll learn something tonight you've never seen before. Perhaps many of you have come to a meeting like this before. Hopefully we'll get some new information. In your little kit, behind my bio, I actually got a chance to write a nice article for Forbes, and I'll talk a little bit about this a little more at the end. There's a lot of difference in financial advisors. People understand doctors better. You can have a general practitioner, but then you need a hip replacement, you go see the hip guy. So the same thing in the financial planning world. A lot of advisors are good getting you up the mountain, and then the income planning starts, and we'll talk about that tonight. It's all left there, and all of a sudden it starts crashing, and then there's no safety net. So we specialize in income retirement planning and making sure you have a paycheck for the rest of your lives. There's an act that just was passed here January 1st. It will affect our retirement for some of us a little bit. It's called the Secure Act. Secure means setting every community up for retirement enhancement. So, a little bit about me. I was born and raised on a large dairy farm in Maine, so I learned the value of hard work and responsibility early in life, and I bring that philosophy into my financial planning practice. My dad actually passed away 3 years ago today. He was 93 years old, so he just worked hard all his life. But one thing I remembered, in the middle of the summer, the announcement was the corn is ready. So with 5 kids, we all went out and picked sweet corn, and oh my God, 2-3 days of that, it's like go, go, go. But we saved that up, and it was nice to have that stored up for winter. We knew it was there. But if it wasn't preserved right, then it would spoil. So everything had to be done right. So it's kind of like, I was thinking, it's kind of like a retirement plan. We've been saving all our life and storing this up, and now we have to, kind of preserve this and make sure that we can sleep at night and not worry about that. And again, the Secure Act required minimum distributions went from 70.5 to 72. That may or may not affect us here. A lot of people have enough money they don't really want to stop taking it, so they can let it grow another year and a half. And we can still put money in IRAs after 70.5 if that's important. We used to be able to do these stretch IRAs, so a non-spouse beneficiary, the children could stretch, if they're like 40 years old, they could stretch the IRA they inherited over their lifetime. So, which made a big pile of money. So they've eliminated that. They've also started some small business retirement plans. 401ks are very expensive to set up, so a small business really can't afford to do that. So now they can kind of all pool together, so there'll be more of that going on. The whole idea is everyone realizes people aren't saving enough for retirement, and so they're trying to do what they can to stimulate that. So now a non-spouse beneficiary, a child or whatever, the money has to come out within 10 years. Most kids take the whole lump sum anyway, so. And now 401ks, this is very interesting. The only thing we've been able to invest in 401ks and 403bs and things like that, it's all stocks and bonds. So we've had a few pretty big crashes in the last few years which hurt people. So now they've actually they realize the safety of certain annuities. They're going to be adding annuities to these plans. And on an annual basis, instead of sending you a statement that says you've got $200,000 or $300,000 in your plan, they can also say, what is this worth for income moving forward? So that's going to be good. A pile of money doesn't mean a whole lot. The pile of income does. What does it do for our retirement? Assets may last longer. A little more tax planning. Different income planning tools available. So what you do, should you come into the office and work with me, we'll run your retirement plan by the Secure Act and see if there's any benefit there. So after the Secure Act, what we'll discuss tonight, different risks as we go through retirement. They say more people die coming down Mount Everest than they do going up. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen there. Different strategies, how can we overcome some of these risks? And then a little plan at the end, how can we actually build our bridge and make sure everything's okay? This figure might sound a little high, but this is a Fidelity report. They're saying the average couple, a 65-year-old, is going to spend about $285,000 out of pocket. Going to the dentist, deductibles, co-insurance, Medicare Part B, different things like that. So this will be different for different people, but that's a study that they recently came up with. Long-term care. Who wants to talk about going to the nursing home? Nobody? I get the same response all the time. The key is we need to be aware of it, and we all should go visit a nursing home, right? Carol's grandmother was up in northern Maine, up in Presque Isle, nursing home for 10 years. So we'd go visit, and it's full. So thank God we got a place to go for some of those. Yes. So some of us probably will wind up going there, but so it has to be part of our planning at least. To cover some of that, we need some liquidity for emergencies, unplanned expenses, major purchases. We believe everyone, and we'll go through this a little later, needs three buckets of money. One is actual cash that you can put your hands on. We call it 9-8M money. Your neighbor calls up and says, let's go on a cruise. And you don't have to hesitate, you know you have the money there, or major purchase for the next 3 to 5 years. Second bucket of money is income. We need a paycheck the rest of our lives, and we're all a little bit different in here, so we can help you with that. And then thirdly, we need to keep up with inflation, and that means stock market based type things, and we can help share that with you. So we need liquid money for these different purposes. Different types, just cash savings. The rate of return is not so important here, is the liquidity. And for certain people, we have some other programs too that's 100% liquid that can really enhance your future. And how much should we keep liquid? Everyone's a little bit different. I've got one lady down here, she has $200,000 sitting in a bank, and just doing nothing, but she says, I just feel so happy, I know it's there. So everyone's a little different. So we went through long-term care and longevity, life expectancy and longevity. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about that. An average 65-year-old today, male, is going to live to 84. Average female to 86 and a half. So it's very interesting to note that the first column here is women, the second one is men, but the third one is a couple. Okay, look at that. Couples are always a little bit longer, so. I guess it's a happily married couple, right? So this is, don't get confused with all these numbers, I'll share that with you. When we turn 70, or actually 70 and a half, we have to take money from our IRAs or 401ks, whatever it might be. Because the IRS says, you've never paid tax on this, we want our tax money and we want it before you die. It's not like, let's make sure we can keep this going so you don't go on welfare or something. It's like we want the tax dollars. They do give us 115, so, but their factors or periods here are kind of confusing. What does that mean? It basically means December 31st statement, your IRA statement, you divide by 27.4 will tell you what you have to take out. And if you don't take it out, they'll fine you up to half of what you should have taken out. So I made this chart up as percentages. We understand percentages much better than periods. So it's simply 3.65%, okay? So if you have $100,000 in your qualified statement at the end of the year, 3.65% is $3,650, okay? The most important thing here to understand, you're gonna have to take more out every year, okay? Because they want the dollars. So now, look down through it, we get some pretty aggressive numbers. Yeah. If our investment, we've invested in it might be down in the bank, safe and sound. Might be an annuity, might be a mutual fund. Whatever we're investing in, if it doesn't keep up with this, now we start snowballing, we start taking principal and interest, and then we go to the mailbox out here somewhere, and the check's just a little check or nothing at all. So it's designed to be depleted. There are ways we can help you with that, where your paycheck will never ever stop, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So that kind of goes along with longevity. Guaranteed income, we all need, we just talked about liquidity, now we need guaranteed income. Okay, what are the sources of guaranteed income? Social Security. If everyone hasn't gotten a recent Social Security report, you need to go to ssa.gov and sign up. Be sure to keep your password because it's pretty difficult to get a new one, and understand what your Social Security is going to bring you. Should you come into the office, we'll need that report to put an income plan together. And then we have defined benefit plans and annuity income. So we'll talk a little bit more about Social Security. More than 90% of all retirees are going to get Social Security. You have to work 40 quarters, or basically 10 years steady, a quarter each year to get Social Security. And some people that are on a government pension will have a government pension instead of Social Security. The average benefit is about $1,400 a month, and that's average. Now, I know people that started taking it at 62 just because they want to get the pound of flesh for the government before it went bankrupt, and they're stuck on that low number now forever. And it's about 33% of the total monthly income for retirees. So again, I see people whether that's 50 and 75 or more, they haven't really saved. So hopefully we get a different group here. I guess I'll back up. There's one kind of interesting thing here I picked up from this baby boomers guide. Way back when Social Security started in 1935, and does anyone know who started Social Security? Which president? Franklin Delano Roosevelt, 35. And he promised something, and he kept his promise. He promised it would never be taxed. Because it's essentially a tax on our payrolls when we're putting it in. And now they're double dipping, just, you know. So this is a neat little saying. It says, the hope behind the statute is to save men and women from the rigors of the poorhouse, as well as from a haunting fear that such a lot awaits them when journey's end is near. So 1935, after the Depression, it must have been pretty devastating out there for people that are a bit older and can't work and whatever. So it's kind of a godsend. Does anyone know, this is surprising, I'll give you a little tidbit here. When Social Security was first taxed, which president decided to start taxing Social Security? This kind of surprised me. It was Ronald Reagan in 1983. He taxed, then you would be able to tax up to 50% of it, depending on your other incomes. And then we had a second tax bill, President Clinton, just 10 years later, 1993, and he got a little trouble with Social Security. Now they're going to tax up to in some cases. I won't go through all the numbers tonight. But Mr. Clinton's tax bill was Congressional Reallocation Program, or CRAP, it was crap. So now we wind up being taxed. This is also in your little paper that we stapled together there. For the group tonight, we'll just talk about retiring in this age group, 66. But if we're born in later years, every year later they added 2 months to that. So now it's the highest age is 67. And who knows, they may be changing that. So what we need to do, and this is also in your little flyer, when do we take Social Security? Okay, we have to understand Uncle Sam's best offer for us, and everyone in this room is different. Okay, but if our full retirement age was 66, okay, full FRA, full retirement age, and our primary insurance amount at that point is $2,000, we can take it at 62, but it's a 25% drop, so it's down to $1,500. If we wait every year after 66, every year it's going to guarantee to grow at 8% a year. So we can't get 8% anywhere. Of course, if you die, you lose it. Unless you're married, the spouse can pick it up. But so there's no right or wrong answer. A lot of it's our health, longevity, how long our parents live, different things like that. Somebody 62 might say, I just can't stand my job anymore. I've always wanted to be self-employed. That'll give me enough money to get going so I can start my business, and then I'll replenish it later. So there's reasons to do it at 62, but most people take it for the wrong reason, and it's the idea that I'm going to get my pound of flesh from the government before Social Security disappears. The crossover age is somewhere around 79 or 80. So if you start at 62, that means you'll be collecting that for more years. But now the whole idea is, if we become a little older, we're up in the 80s and 90s, we have a nice inflation-adjusted check coming in so that we can, survive. So it's actually about a 76% difference. Defined benefit pension plans. Does anyone in here have a pension and work for a company? No? The best one I personally ever seen working with clients is a General Electric plant in Bangor, Maine. When they started way back, their pension was amazing. They're retiring with pensions. They don't even need Social Security, so their income planning is a lot different than the average person, because they, all the other monies they have, they don't need an income plan. They just need to figure out how they're going to spend it. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
And then annuities, again, we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but this also is designed as an income plan. There's a lot of difference in annuities out there. You'll see on TV, I hate annuities and other things like that. Those are basically variable annuities, and they're based on the stock market. They have high fees, and they're fully, stock market related. The older style annuities, when they first started out, were pretty good. They were called immediate annuities. And immediate annuity means you give your $100,000 or so to the insurance company. In return, they're going to give you a check the rest of your life. I met an elderly guy once that was up in his 80s, and he was laughing. He said, I beat Metropolitan out a couple times already, so he just loved his immediate annuity. Right now, interest rates are so low, if you bought one, you're almost swapping dollars, so they just don't work like they used to. So there's some new ones out, and I'll show you how they work. They're called index annuities, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Inflation is always around. We don't see it every day, but look back at your first car or your first house or something like that, and it kind of catches up over time. So using the rule of 72, if inflation averaged 3%, in 24 years, we would need to double the amount of money coming in just to stay even. So that's a definite risk if we have longevity out there. So to beat inflation, we kind of have to invest in things that cause inflation, and that's American companies, the stock market. So we don't wildly go out there and throw you up in the stock market, and we'll show you a little example in a few moments on that. Different growth assets to offset inflation, pay health care, replenish your liquid money down the road if it grows. Most 401ks are based, again, stock market based, stocks and bonds. Contributions, if we can afford to do this at age 50, if you're under age 50, we put up to $19,500 away, and over 50, $26,000 for 2020. And obviously we have our traditional IRAs and Roth IRA. Limits now are 6,000 or 7,000 over 50. We like to see people, wherever we can, get some Roth money in there, because it comes out tax-free, and that's a nice thing. We don't get the tax deduction up front, but the beauty of the Roth also is all of the growth is going to be tax-free. With an IRA, a certain percentage of that growth goes back to the government in the form of taxes. It's all taxable. If we have some IRAs or qualified money, right now tax rates just got reduced for most of us last year. I think that's around until 2025. If it doesn't work, then we're going to be trillions more in debt, and they'll probably raise the tax rates. So while our tax rates may be more reasonable right now, we, as a fiduciary financial advisor, we work with people like Clem Brandenburg here and as a CPA. And what we like to do is bump our tax bracket. So we're in a certain tax bracket. Can we take a little bit of money from IRAs now and transfer it over to a Roth, pay the tax now, and not be in a higher tax bracket? So that's always a good thing to look for at tax time, which is now. This, I try to use as much third-party material as I can here. You can go online and get this, type that in S&P 500, add inflection points, otherwise you get about 50 pages of stuff. But this is from JP Morgan. It simply tracks the stock market, okay? Since 96. Now, had you invested in the stock market in 96, you would have been very, very happy until. So if you want to, you have this in your stapled sheet. You can circle 49% there, okay? We had a lot of stock market corrections, Global Crossing and Enron, and then 911 came along unexpectedly. So our index level is 1527. So it took about 5 years now to come back out, and look, to get that about the same amount. And then what happened? We had a mortgage crisis. So this bothers me more than back here, because our president and all our congressmen down there, Harvard graduates, no one knew there was a mortgage crisis. You know, we should have a fireside chat on TV every night, get your money on the stock market, but no, they just let everyone go down, you know, a free fall, 57%. So I know people that was want to retire there, and they're still working. I've also seen people that when they get down here, they just couldn't take it anymore. They got out. I had a lady down here this last year, and I said, and now we're way up here. And she says, I don't think I am. So we looked at her statement, and no, the broker put her in bonds down there and left her there. So a big problem here. So a lot of people will wait till here. If they're going to retire here, they wait till here and then start transferring some money around. You need to do it, you know, at least 5 years ahead of time. That's so that when you want to retire, you know you're all set. Warren Buffett said, if you can't stay in the stock market for 10 years, you shouldn't own a stock for 10 days. Because it'll sometimes take that time to get out of there. Now, since the market started, it's always come back, but it takes some time at different times to do that. So now, these so-called bull markets usually run about 6 years. This is run about 12 years. So can you draw out the next 5 years? I mean, I don't know. It may keep going up, may not. But if we're getting close to retiring, we probably should take a look at that, and we can help you with that. Does anyone know why they call it a bull market or a bear market? We hear it every day. Supposedly a bull takes his prey and takes his horns and pushes up, and a bear swipes down. You can verify that.
Better than it is.
Are you a bear or a bull? Okay, since we just talked about the stock market there, we're going to talk about something. Now, I'd like to have you take your little stapled kits out now, if you would, and go to this chart that looks like that, because I didn't write on here. The one that says before, there's a before and an after. The first one's the before. And right on top, if you would, write in a sequence of returns. It's SEQUENCE, sequence of returns. That's what this chart is. And then right side of it, or under that, put random and unknown. Random and unknown. This is very important, and if you have an advisor now that's basically just a stockbroker, that's probably not going to tell you about this. You want to move some of your money out. This is just a random stock market, up and down for, what is it, 25 years, okay? So we start minus 12, and we wind up with 8%, and this 100,000, we wind up with 684, okay? Any math teachers in the room? No? Oh, number cruncher. So now, this is random and unknown, right? So what if we put the 12 at the bottom and the 29 at the top? We just flipped it. That's all we did. We don't know what it's going to be. When we're saving, the numbers come out exactly the same. So I asked the math, we had a lady math teacher once, and I said, is that true? She says, yeah, that's true. That's something about money, okay? So now let's go to the next one after, let's say after retirement. So sequence returns has never affected us in our life until we retire. So anytime we're drawing money from an account that can lose money, sequence returns is going to kick in, okay? So, same scenario. We're pulling 5% adjusted for inflation, okay? Look what happened. The sequence returns negative to the early years. This guy went to the mailbox at 82 and there's no check. I said, what happened? So his broker said, well, it didn't work out so good. So he has no money, okay? The other person, now we flip those around again, since it's random and unknown. This guy's got $3 million, okay? So which one are you going to be? I have a client, he came to me, he was around 70 years old and finally retired. He wanted to work as long as he could with a pretty good amount of money. And I did some income planning for him, and he said, Jim, that's not enough. I'm 70, I feel good. By the time I get to 80, I don't need so much money anyway. So he kind of like disappeared. His regular broker had a variable annuity. So the variable annuity is not only stock market based like this, there's also some pretty high fees in there. So he went back to his other agent and he said, you've done pretty well over the years. Why don't you just leave it alone? You'll probably be okay. Probably. I know his son really well down here in Florida, and last year he came to me and said, what's going on with Dad's portfolio? I said, I don't know, I didn't do business with him. He said, well, he just called me and said his last check is coming next month. So we have caught up in sequence of returns. We went through 2008 and whatever. So now he's 80 years old, probably feeling pretty good, still needs all that money. The last thing he had left was his home, so he did a reverse mortgage, as long as that lasts. So be careful not to get caught up in sequence of returns. There's really no need of it. I can help you with that. But we don't know how many people get caught up in this, because the brokerage firms are not going to tell people, because they'll you'll probably do something else with some of your money. A way to kind of combat that, I said we talked about annuities a little bit, so this is the chart that we'll kind of talk about then. This happens to be what they call an index annuity, okay? And this person put 100,000. This is an actual one that was actually sold out there in 1998. This line is what if we could get 3% at the bank? It's kind of a guide, okay? This red line is that S&P 500 went up, went down, went up and down. And of course, this stopped a little later. It's the last chart I got, but the concept's exactly the same. The index annuities will index to something. In this case, it's indexed to the S&P 500. So what do? You get a portion of the growth, not all of it, but you can never lose a dime. So just like cruise control, right there, it locks in on an annual basis. Your principal and interest locked in, you can never go lower. Locks in, can't go lower. We had the financial crisis, 9/11, whatever, they just stayed level, and these people had to start at the bottom. So this real volatility really helps these annuities, because now this guy's starting up here, and they have to come all the way back up, okay? And the people that had these during the mortgage crisis were just elated. They retired, they went on and were happy, and these guys had to go back to work. So that's how these index annuities work. Now, the guarantee here is you'll never lose any money. So the real guarantee for growth is we don't know what's going to happen. It might be level. And that's not going to pay our bills, is it? It would draw us down. So from that longevity chart that we showed you, let's just say that did do zero. It never has, but it could. We add an income rider on there. It usually costs about 1%. So an income rider will guarantee you that paycheck forever, even if it went to zero. So your paycheck will never ever stop. We've taken longevity and sequence returns off the table as part of the money. Any questions? Yes.
So, just on that display, starting with the 100,000, what would an average check that you would pull out of your mailbox be based on that?
It's based on age when you start to draw it, and we'll have a chart for you. It'll say if you start at whatever age, 65 to 75, whatever. It'll say every year exactly what that paycheck's going to be. So it's going to be a little different for men than women or couples. So we'll do a computer run for you, and then you know exactly what that's going to be. The other thing that's very interesting, and we just talked about that with the S&P chart, the average investors, so these different periods, don't make anywhere near as much as the S&P 500. That's because emotion takes over. We buy, we sell when we're low, and buy when it's high. So these are average returns through 2017. So again, just remember, Warren Buffett, if you can't stay in the market for 10 years, you shouldn't be in there for 10 days. And we can help you with that. This is called Tactical Management. A great website to go to, and if you go to my website, northpointfinancial.com, we've got different videos on there, and Royal Fund Management will be on there. They kind of manage our money on the stock market side. They do a fabulous job. And so this shows one of the investments that we have. This black line is the S&P 500, and this is about 18 years, okay? So you can go right down to Vanguard, buy this index, S&P 500 index, unmanaged for almost nothing, put your money in there and let it set. So over the last 19 years or so, 100,000 would have grown to 357. Rate of returns been 6.94. And this risk-aligned number, risk-aligned is on a scale of 1 to 100. The risk-aligned here is 62. So there's something called tactical management, tactical asset management. Any sailors in here? Sailboats? I understand, I've never done this myself either, but you can go into the wind and just keep tacking and you go forward. So this is called tactical management. That's right different. The S&P 500 is made up of 500 great companies, or they wouldn't even be in there, okay? But on a quarterly basis, what if we could rebalance? This quarter might be gas and oil, next quarter might be healthcare, it might be something else. What if we could, management could tactically manage that, on a quarterly basis, keep us in that upper quadrant? So that's what this is all about. And what we try to do is cut those losses up. See those big losses there? The black was the S&P. If we can do that, it's proven we can do quite a lot better. This 100,000 now grew to 490, rate of returns 875. And look at the risk-aligned number. Okay. So this will go down, but we don't even worry about it because we've got other monies and buckets that will keep you going. And again, this is just one of many different programs we have. This also, this fee in here is very, very low. The fee to do this is about 1.5, but that's already been taken out of that. The numbers are all up there. Any questions at all on this?
This is a fund you're representing?
Yes.
Managing?
Yes.
Or?
Yeah. That's page number 2 with all the disclosure. Risk taxes, we retire, why do we have to keep paying taxes? We pay them all our lives. And they keep even thinking of new ways to do that. So the taxes on a benefit plan, the taxes on Social Security, rental property, everything. And Social Security, there's a formula that they use to see how much they're going to be taxed at 50% or 75%. So tax-free municipal bonds are not taxable until they're taxed. They put them in that formula. You get tax-free money, they throw it in, decide if they're going to pay on Social Security. So what should you come into the office? We'll discuss, estimate your retirement income. Personal retirement income analysis, so you kind of, a little worksheet is pretty simple. We designed to go through and kind of figure out kind of what you need, what you don't need. We'll create a projected retirement budget and just implement a plan. I don't do the plan, we do it together. I hope that's okay. Because when you get done, I want you to know exactly what you got, how it works. Fees. I don't want to disparage any companies, but very important you understand if you're in a brokerage account now what kind of fees you're paying, and many of these are hidden. So I have 3 major companies here, but I'll just read. They have to disclose the fees on their website, but I doubt if people really do this up front, if they would actually be, they'd be questioning them at least. Virtually all of this company's transactions leading to mutual funds involve product partners that pay revenue sharing to this company. We want you to understand that this company's receipts of revenue sharing payments creates a potential conflict of interest in the form of additional financial incentive. These payments are in addition to standard sales loads, sales fees, and expenses. What's going on? A lot of these big mutual fund companies will go to some of these major firms and say, if you push us, we'll give you a little fee on the front end, but you never even see that. You get your statements, you don't even know that. And I can find that for you. So it's a big difference. It makes a big difference over a period of time, how many fees you're paying. So you have to know that. When you come see me, there's no fees. We'll just chat for half an hour to an hour and see if we're a good fit for each other, see if I can help you out. Should I go ahead and implement a plan, we charge $500. Should you become a client, I give half of that back because we put quite a lot of work into that. From then on, we don't charge any fees. Again, if we do any annuity business, the company actually pays us. I don't ask you to pay. And should we do anything on the stock market side, you see very transparently what's going on a day-to-day basis. That is 100% liquid money, because we need liquid money too, okay? So you know what's there. We don't have hidden fees. Case study, okay. Let's, in the back of your stapled flyers here, is this case study, but I'll go through it. It's the last page. But I'll go through it up here. Let's just say you were this couple, and again, everyone's a little different. Jim's 63, Susan's 62, they want to retire in 2 years. They need $4,500 a month. And they figure that out from a little sheet like this. They have, $707,000 in their IRAs and 401ks, $35,000 down at the bank. Social Security, but no pension. So what do we do for these people? They need $4,500, so we subtract Jim's Social Security, Susan's, and we come up with a gap. We're going to be short $2,000 a month, okay, for the rest of our lives. So where do we come up with that? And how do we guarantee it so we don't get into sequence returns or longevity risk? So that's $24,000 a year times 12. We reposition $406,000 of the qualified assets into a fixed index annuity with an income rider. It's very important. So their incomes, and we figured that out ahead of time. We know they're going to retire in 2 years. We know how much we got to put in there and what it's guaranteed to grow at. Okay. Their payout now in 2 years is 4.9%. We left the $35,000 as an emergency fund. We moved 406 over to the annuity with an income rider. We consider this not liquid, although much of it is, but we don't want to touch it because that's the money that's going to give us a paycheck. Okay, but now look, that frees up $300,000 to go play with, to do what we want to do with. We can invest. what if we take $100,000 to go buy a new camper, to go traveling? Can we do that and still retire? Sure, we got a paycheck coming out. Can we invest some of that in the market and try to get some decent growth on there? Absolutely. If we left it at the brokerage account, which many people are going to tell you to do, just leave it there, it'll probably be all right, okay? There's a rule called the 4% rule, okay? You can Google this, it's all kinds of information on it, but basically if you have a stock and bond portfolio, if you draw 4% off that, there's a reasonable chance it'll last the rest of your life, although it's not guaranteed, okay? So if we did that, we would have to set aside $600,000 right there, which split our brokerage account, okay, in two pieces. We would, I gotta change that to liquid because it would be. But it still should be considered non-liquid because we don't want to touch it for income, right? So we'd have to put $600,000 in there at 4% to give us our $24,000 a year that we need for income. Okay? And it's not guaranteed to last our lifetime. But that now only leaves 107 I'll get to play with. Okay? So the first scenario, we put as little money, as amount of money as we can in bucket number 2 to do what we need to do, and we try to get the most we can over here to do what you want to do. Okay? The one we didn't, I didn't get this in our booklet. The first scenario is in there. How kind of professional help? Again, we'll help estimate your retirement income, create a retirement budget. We'll take these numbers and see what's right for you. Some people like bucket number 2 for income. Some people like rental property. You don't have to have annuities. You can do rental property. Whatever, everyone here is a little bit different, okay? And get a plan of action going. If you'd like to schedule an appointment, catch up with Carol on the way out. Again, we'd appreciate it if you fill out this little form here for us and turn it in. And then lastly, if you kind of come back to this form here, this sheet of paper. Yeah, it's right behind my good picture. Oh, it's on this side now. I need a new portrait. And if you flip it over to the back side, the very last 3 or 4 lines, I will leave you with these 3 thoughts. If you do not go after what you want, you will never get it. If you do not ask, the answer will always be no. And if you do not step forward, you'll always be in the same place. So we'd like to have you move on to the next level and come see us. So that's it. Thanks everyone for coming. If you have questions, I'll be around here.